Story 1. Going somewhere not fully prepared and finding more people than expected happens often to me too. Story 2. Nothing too crazy, except for the fear that everyone I love could become gravely injured, ill, or die in the blink of an eye, and that there is nothing I can do to stop it. Every decision I have made and will continue to make can alter the trajectory of my life in unfathomable ways. I will never know what the correct decision was until the outcome happens, at which point it is too late. There is also the ever-present knowledge that time presses on, and the goals and days I longed and prayed for are here, yet I cannot enjoy them because I am afraid they will be stripped away at a moment's notice. Also, spiders. Story 3. Calls from unknown numbers. 8 years ago to this date, June 30th, 2017, I received the call informing me that my 5-year-old brother was killed by a drunk driver. Story 4. When I make a minor mistake and my instructor or trainer makes it seem like I almost killed dozens of people and myself, they continue to do it every time. Story 5. I have worked in aged care for over 20 years. The culture in many nursing homes is toxic and has harmed my mental health. If management is not micromanaging, then the residents or their families are giving you a hard time. You are always looking over your shoulder, and even minor mistakes are turned into major disasters. Because of this, my anxiety often becomes overwhelming. Story 6. The phone rings. Beads of sweat start to form. You must speak to a person using voice over the phone. Story 7. Phone ringing in the middle of the night. I only have certain people whose calls go through regardless of do not disturb. Story 8. I read that anxiety can increase from 0 to 100. When I choke on something, I do not know if it will get stuck or come out. Story 9. When someone sits next to me when there are other seats available on a bus, train, in the cinema, or at a conveyor belt sushi restaurant, I feel uncomfortable. Please respect personal space. Story 10. Did I remember to do that? It was very important, but I was busy. Then I asked myself, did I remember to double-check the thing I just remembered I did? Sigh issues. Story 11. When someone calls you multiple times while you are away from your phone, do not answer when you try calling back. Story 12. Those huge windmills. When I pass a wind farm where there are dozens of them spread over miles, it makes me ridiculously anxious. I don't know why. They are so huge, far bigger than anything else in the landscape. They move too slowly. They look robotic and post-apocalyptic to me. They seem like they are plotting an attack. I know this sounds strange, but I get a tightness in my chest when I see so many of them together. Story 13. Somebody giving me a weird look for no reason immediately makes me think I am doing something wrong. I scour my thoughts for why, and then I don't think I am doing anything. But then I am like, oh no, I am doing something weird or wrong and do not even realize what it is. Story 14. Knowing that my anxiety disorder is a result of mood swings from borderline personality disorder and that it is entirely out of my control, therefore causing me more anxiety due to lack of control. Story 15. When I am waiting for a response to a text, I start overthinking and convince myself they have not replied because they hate me and I am burdening them. I cannot actually disprove this because the only relationship I have ever been in ended with a text saying, I am not interested in going out with you anymore, with no further context. Story 16. Driving to or going somewhere new, especially in an area I am not familiar with. Where do I park? Which door do I enter? What are the unwritten rules of the place? Story 17. When I am playing a game and you are the last one the team is depending on to win, amp it up to over 100 if you were the little coward hiding in the corner the whole time and are the last surviving one who has to face the final boss. Story 18. I was raised to be respectful and courteous to all women regarding the toilet seat being left up. It also looks much better with the seat and lid down. Story 19. A car horn behind me for more than 5 seconds. Seriously, Karen, do you realize you just ruined about 3 days for me, and I drive above most posted speed limits? Drinking a beverage and having it caught in my lungs or throat causes instant anxiety. Please, others, tell me I am not alone in this. Story 20. When I am in an upscale restaurant and see a family walk in, sit nearby, and a toddler reaches for the tablet, I know my evening is about to be ruined. Story 21. When someone asks, "Are you okay?" my natural reaction is, "What? Yes, I'm fine. Don't I look fine? Do I look mad? Do I have resting bitch face? I'm fine. I'm really fine, I swear." Story 22. Someone is knocking on my front door more than once because no one I am expecting ever knocks more than once. Story 23. Standing close to the edge of a cliff or building where a fall does not mean death, but an incredible amount of pain. Story 24. Screaming or shouting, not just towards me, but also in my vicinity. When my brain tells me that my boyfriend does not really like me and that he does not enjoy being with me, talking to me, or the way I look. This is also true with every other person in my life. Story 25. When my mom calls me, I never know if she is going to be happy, sad, or accuse me of something I did not do. One day, while I was out running errands, she called me rushing and telling me she needed to talk. She said it was urgent and suggested I sit down. I thought someone had died or something. Nope. It turned out she just wanted to accuse me of stealing some pictures of my daughter that were hanging on her door that I gave her. They had fallen off her door. Story 26. Doing my taxes. I have to get 8 of them every year just to get myself together for the certified public accountant. It is a simple return and I always get money back. I have zero history of financial trauma or serious financial insecurity, but taxes really scare me. I can do tax paperwork for friends and family all day long, just not mine. Writing this post has my heart racing. Story 27. People eating with their mouths open in Asian cultures. This is not racial. It is culturally acceptable but makes me uncomfortable. Story 28. Someone pilfering around me. For example, my husband randomly goes around the house and goes through the bookshelf or a cabinet that I have organized very specifically. He takes random items out of one box and leaves them out of place. Someone taking something out of its place and placing it where it does not belong when it has a designated spot is a major trigger. In this scenario, my husband rarely communicates while doing this randomly from room to room, and anxiety rises significantly. I wonder, what are you looking for, sir? And why does organization bother you so much that you have to disrupt everything's natural place? Story 29. Evidently, arriving at a ferry convinced I had booked a window seat, then discovering my fat fingers pressed the wrong button, and I was going to spend the next 75 minutes in the middle of the boat with screaming children around me. It was not instant, but it was fast and shocked me. It took every ounce of restraint I had not to have a toddler meltdown. My hands still have fingernail imprints. Story 30. A crowded supermarket when all I want is some milk. It is at the furthest distance from the entrance. Story 31. Any sharp or sudden raise in someone's voice always makes me feel like I am about to get in trouble. Story 32. My commitments to anything other than my husband or children. I just made a plan to get lunch with a friend in a couple of weeks, and I am already feeling anxious about it, even though I really want to see her. Story 33. When I am walking at night and I hear footsteps behind me, even if the person does not necessarily have bad intentions. Story 34. I do not know why, but it makes me much more anxious when there is no one left in front of me to give my presentation. Watching the person do it while I wait for my turn to come after they are done makes me hope they will never be done. The waiting makes me much more anxious than doing it. It is like knowing I cannot escape this and that the end is coming, but it is in someone else's hands and depends on how long they take until my suffering starts. Story 35. When I submit a request for a repair in my apartment, I cannot make an appointment or receive any kind of time frame. Could be the next day, or it might take a couple of weeks or more. If I try to check back, I get the same response. Story 36. An unexplained noise in the house. All I hear is, "This is going to be a pain and expensive. Oh, right, I forgot I put that stuff in the dryer. Never mind." Story 37. When I have a device, such as my laptop, connected to wires for charging, and my dog gets startled, it bolts and causes the device to fall off a table or another surface. Story 38. Hearing a knock on the door when I am not expecting anyone, knowing that I mostly never invite anyone to my place. Story 39. My motor on my dinghy wouldn't start this morning, so I had to row about 5 miles through the ocean chop just to get to shore and get my Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. My muscles will be rippling if I have to do this again. Story 40, we need to talk. Being late. Official looking mail. My mother sent me this text. Call as soon as you can. Story 41. When my chair tips back just a little too much and it makes my life flash before my eyes. When people text you, are you free? And then immediately call you. Story 42. My alarm goes off for work in the morning. Seriously, I literally feel sick and have trouble breathing when I wake up at the thought of going into that office again. Story 43. When I need to make a left turn and there are cars behind me, I just sit there with my signal on because I cannot go. There are cars coming, and even if it looks like I have time to go, by the time I turn, I would cause an accident. It makes me feel in the way and annoyed. I feel like someone is going to honk their horn any second, and I start sweating. Story 44. Correcting people on my pronouns. I was female at birth, and I have not had surgery yet, so I do not pass. People refer to me with she/her until I tell them what I go by. I understand that people make mistakes. Even after I have explained that I go by he/him, some people may still make mistakes. It happens. Even those who continue to misgender me after I have informed them, I continue to treat with respect. I am not prepared to get upset in either scenario. My parents misgender me, and I care more about that than people who are not close friends or family doing it. Regardless of the reaction, I feel anxiety and guilt when correcting people. Story 45. That swab of alcohol on your arm just before the vaccine or blood draw. You feel completely fine and then not. It is like the cold touch of it instantly makes your brain go, oh no, this is not okay. Story 46. When I suddenly wake up in the middle of sleep or a nap and check my clock. I do not know whether it is antemeridium or postmeridium. Story 47. When you finish your examinations but the report card is suspiciously late and it is summer, every time one of your parents calls you in a stern voice or sends you an image, you feel like you are about to faint. Story 48. When people ask me questions I do not know the answer to and still think I know, it makes me feel like I am going through an interrogation. Story 49. Someone saying, talk to you tomorrow, then never messaging again for days or at all after a seemingly normal conversation. Story 50. Any hint of turbulence on an airplane, even a little bump, is enough for me to think that the plane is going down and I should start texting everyone. Story 51. Telling someone not to park in the visitor parking when they should park in their garage is absolutely frustrating. I am being polite, but they keep doing it. Story 52. When you are outside and suddenly cannot feel your phone in any of your pockets, it turns out it is just in my sling bag. I always carry a mini sling chest bag when outside. Story 53. Unpleasant individuals from my past are leaving strange messages on my phone after I blocked them. Apparently, they can still reach my voicemail. I am not happy about it. Story 54. When my girlfriend cannot stay at my place because her information technology technician is coming over to fix her computer. It is strange because her computer constantly gets viruses, so he visits frequently at night. Story 55. A random thought. Crowds having to make or answer a phone call, mixed noises, social situations, and so on. Story 56. When I am expressing my passion about something I love, and someone close has to say, well, actually. Story 57. If I am going with the most recent information, an engine light, transmission problems, and being told by Ford that my car was actually stolen and written off by insurance before being recovered and sold to my wife as a used car. This means the extended warranty on this known very expensive issue with this particular make and model is void. Story 58. My mom is not a bad person. In fact, she is the best mom among my friends. However, she struggles with mental illness, and it can be challenging to be around her. Story 59. Other than we need to talk, the other horrible phrase is, can I ask you something? Also, a phone call in the middle of the night. Story 60. Sitting in a room, at a table, or any enclosed group environment, and someone says, let's start with, while scanning around, I always knew I was finished. Story 61. The truth is when a birthday is coming, when it's Friday but your mom wants a get-together, when you know you have to be somewhere but nobody wants you there. Edit, call it paranoia. Story 62. Traveling alone. I have had atrial fibrillation since my early 20s, and my biggest fear is being somewhere alone and having a medical emergency. Story 63. When plans change at the last minute or someone else is invited to an event at the last minute that I did not know about. Story 64. Having a conversation with a woman I am attracted to. I have had many relationships, but for whatever reason, I am always very anxious when trying to meet someone new. Story 65. Unnecessary shortcuts, especially when someone is executing a plan I made, making it more efficient, faster, easier, cheaper, but less safe. Story 66. Forgetting someone's name and seeing them again. Should I use buddy, no name at all, or a potentially wrong name? Story 67. Being abruptly awakened by a person making loud noises during typical sleeping hours. Story 68. Visiting my mother involves a lot of passive aggression. I am not sure she even realizes she does it anymore. Story 69. I have been acting as an amateur caregiver for my father for the past few years, helping my mother. She has a hair-trigger temper, and my father provokes it and then becomes defensive after he sets her off. When the bickering and whining start, I feel a well of exhausting, trembling, unsettled frustration because I know this will escalate into a yelling nightmare. I am there trying to make sure doctor appointments are properly scheduled and attended, medicine is taken correctly, nutrition is appropriate, and so on. I do not need to witness their interpersonal drama. I try my best to intervene before it escalates or to disappear and let it burn out. Either way, I am an adult, realistic about married couples tackling health issues, and I know many people experience this with aging parents, but it still affects me deeply sometimes. Story 70. Loud unexpected bangs or sounds do not have to be dangerous. They can be something as simple as someone accidentally dropping a broom on the floor. It just shocks me and throws me off. I do not have any childhood trauma or anything like that. I think it may be genetic because my dad reacted the same exact way. Story 71. The moment I think of asking a question during any leadership question and answer session at work, I experience a huge rush of adrenaline. Then, as soon as I start to talk, it all settles and goes away. Phew. Story 72. Anything that is deemed mandatory, from a school event to jury duty. I am a grown-up. Do not tell me what to do. Story 73. For me, it's being alone in a place with a girl. Not because I am the one in danger, but I know for a fact that she probably feels like she might be in danger. I make sure if I end up in such a situation, I face away from her, maybe open the weather application or something, to try to ease the discomfort a little bit. Even walking behind a girl, I always slow down. If I find myself taking too many turns that happen to be in the same direction as hers, I deliberately take a different one so I am no longer behind her. Maybe I am doing too much, but I hate making people uncomfortable for many reasons. Like maybe it does not matter as much as my mind keeps telling me. It raises my anxiety a lot because I just cannot stop thinking. She probably thinks I am a creep, or something like that. Story 74. Apparently, when I am working and doing exactly what I am supposed to, and someone starts yelling at me over the counter asking if I know how to read, I have never wanted to jump over the counter and fight someone so badly. I was shaking more than a chihuahua in winter just from anxiety. Story 75. When you stand up for yourself and are blamed and manipulated into thinking it is your fault, the feelings are more anger and disgust than anxiety, but all of it is just horrible. Story 76. Overstimulating environments or stimuli such as sudden loud noises, bright lights, crowds, touch, and strong smells. Story 77. I am in college and I am somewhat picky. When I am the person in charge or leader of a team, it does not help at all. When I have important presentations, I never feel confident, no matter how well I know or understand the subject. When I attend an evaluation, no matter how prepared I am, it is never enough for me. When things do not go the way I want or as I had planned, I feel frustrated. Story 78. Weed that is too strong for my tolerance, and I haven't smoked in a long time. I am with people I don't know well. Story 79. Being overstimulated by music and passengers while driving exponentially increases if on a freeway. I prefer to drive alone. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.